Hi, today's lesson is on using controls in a worksheet to quickly and rapidly change the value of a cell, which can be used for many different purposes. Let's say that we wished to put a value into cell B2. Click B2 and enter a value. In this case, I'll enter the value 5. Now let's say that for some reason this particular cell is being used as the value for some other calculation. And to make things simple, let's say that we put a different value in cell B4 that is based on the value of cell B5. So we'll type in a formula equals, click cell B5 plus 20, enter. And we can see that the value of cell B4 is equal to the value of cell B2 plus 20. And we can see that this works if we click cell B2 and enter a different value such as 6. As we press enter, we notice that the value of cell B4 is still equal to B2 plus 20. Now, if this were some complex spreadsheet that involved a lot of calculation, we might want to try lots of different values in cell B2, but it might be awkward to have to repeatedly type in new values. So what we can do is insert a control, and what we do is we use this toolbar up here to insert controls. If this toolbar is not available, we can insert it by going to Tools, going down to Customize, and under the different options, we'll notice Control Toolbox as one of the options. Simply click that toolbox and it appears, and then just type Close. Now, one of the most useful ways to do this is to insert something called a scroll bar. So if we click that, we can then click and drag to create a scroll bar. And the idea behind this scroll bar is that by moving a slider or either clicking on the buttons at either end, we can change the value of any cell that we select. Let's right click that. Right click it. No, it seems to be okay. We'll just click somewhere else, then right click it. Here we go. And click Properties. And in the Properties, we'll notice that the background color, I'll move this across so we can see, it's currently a grey color. Let's click that, and the drop down box, go to Palette, and we can choose a color that looks a little nicer, let's say red. We notice that immediately it changes to red. Now at the moment, the linked cell, which is this position, isn't labelled. We would like to link cell B2. So what we'll do in the linked cell is click in here and type B2. Now, let's look down here at the minimum and maximum values. The minimum value is currently a 0, and the maximum is a crazy 32,767. Now that's way too big for our purposes. Let's say we click in there, move back and change that value to something more reasonable, let's say like 200. Now we've got the minimum value as 0 and the maximum value of 200. And you might have noticed that when I did that, this slider moved a little bit so that its current position is consistent with the value of 6. Whereas at the top it would be consistent with 0, and at the bottom it would be consistent with 200. Now, we'll close the Properties box. That's all we need to do at this stage. We can resize this and move it around anywhere we like. Let's say that I wanted to actually make it a horizontal toolbar. We can do this sort of thing, and it automatically changes. Now, this control here is exit design mode. We have to press that. At the moment we're in design mode. That enables us to make changes to this, but as soon as we click this, we exit the design mode, and now we can't move this anywhere. We can't move it. In fact, clicking on it now actually activates the control. What we'll do is we can use this slider, and as we move it, we'll notice that the value of cell B2 changes from 200 at one end to 0 at the other. And of course, the cell that's related to B2, which was B4, and has the formula equals B2 plus 20, that changes of course because B2's value is changing. So we can control the values on our spreadsheet with this slider, and that's why it's called the control toolbox. Let's say you get to a point and you would like to select, say, an exact value of 60, but you had trouble with the coordination and couldn't get it exactly right. That's where these little buttons on the end help. Clicking them moves up and down 1 unit at a time. If you wanted it to move more than 1 unit at a time, we could do that too by going back into design mode, right-clicking and getting properties. And we see that what's called the small change is equal to 1. If I change that to 5 and then exit and exit the design mode, now by clicking these buttons we notice that this value changes by 5 each time rather than by 1, although 1 is usually more convenient, but it may be that it's inconvenient. Of course, you can still get individual values by using the slider, but you may prefer, and notice that it's moving up by 5 from those individual values now. You may prefer to have it set at 1, which I do too, so I'm actually going to go back to design mode. You can get the properties here as well by using one of these. Let's see, as you position the mouse over them it tells you. Properties, there it is. Click that. And it's got a slightly different box here. So there's some different properties. What I might do is just right click on here and go down to these properties. And the small change, which we had at 5, I'm going to put that back at 1. And exit design mode. And there you have it. A useful control in a spreadsheet.